I suggest we continue our 3D modeling panel. The next report will be made by Nikiforova from the SUE Mosgorgeotrest, Russia. Dear colleagues, the team of our presentation welcomes you on behalf of the largest in Russia survey organization, Mosgorgeotrest, which goes back in history to 1944. Geotrest is the only in the city operator on establishment and maintenance of the remote sensing data bank and the single state mapping foundation of Moscow. The single mapping foundation and database of remote sensing data is the element of the single geo-informational space of Moscow. And this work has contributed to the urban development state program of Moscow until 2016. Our presentation was prepared on the experience of Mosgorgeotrest on usage and processing of remote sensing database for Moscow area. But upon special request of the organizers, we'll speak only on one aspect of how we apply the remote sensing data in our work, and the work which is done by Mosgorgeotrest on the building of 3D model of the city of Moscow. But I must tell you here that for more than 10 years, Geotrest has been successfully implementing its functions on processing, storage, and supply of aerial and satellite images. Geotrest has this remote sensing center, and I'm representative of this center. Over the past years, the satellite and aerial imagery that collected about Moscow was used by our center to develop about 90 different resources, including orthophoto plans, photo plans, and photo schemes, which cover the whole territory of the city of Moscow in different scales from 1 to 2,000 to 1 to 25,000. These resources in our city enjoy great demand and are used widely, and the materials of aerial and satellite imagery in combination with mapping information can provide the city authorities with detailed and timely information about everything which is going on in the city. It looks fine, but the life dictates new requirements. The infrastructure of the city is so complicated that to illustrate it in full amount on traditional maps is simply impossible. That is why the conversion of traditional maps into 3D models is not a goal in itself, but the need of the city, and the annual updating of the database with the materials of aerial and space imagery, as well as the constant updating of the single state mapping foundation helps us to establish additional opportunities for the construction of the single 3D model of the territory of Moscow. This 3D model is one of the new methods which helps us supply better products to Moscow users. Using the existing means and the applied technologies, the Remote Sensing Center has developed a technology of developing a 3D model of the city, which will provide photographically detailed and realistic representation of the environment of Moscow to our users. The 3D model is based on the digital mapping background of the single mapping foundation of Moscow and the information resources of the all-city data bank of the remote sensing data. And the additional information when we build a 3D model is represented by additional data owned by Geotrest. That would be 1 to 2,000 scale maps, topographic plans of 1 to 500, photographs of facades of different buildings, laser scans both of mobile in nature and stationary. 2 information resources: digital 3D digital elevation model and 3D building models structurally make up the total 3D model of the city. Starting from 2011, the basic model is the city information resource that we have. This model is annually updated. It is optimally compatible with other city information resources. As a result, this basic model is actively utilized by city users. Its user-friendliness is manifest in the fact that it can be represented in different formats. Besides, the technology is used by Geotrest allows us to incorporate into the available 3D model external 3D objects and the models of different sections of the terrain, which can be constructed by other software and geoinformation systems. The visualization of 3D model is done through MicroStation geoinformation system. The digital elevation model looks like an irregular triangulation network, but can be recalculated into a regular network and shown as a texturized model. The identification of absolute and relative altitudes can be done based on the materials of aerial photography by stereogrammetric method. The models of buildings from 3D visualization can be converted into contours, the so-called 2.5D model. In this way, we can ensure the implementation of more city tasks and accommodation of greater number of users with our application. The specifics of the 3D model is manifested in stage-by-stage construction in form of different information resources. This decision was made not only because of technical considerations, but also because of the needs and requests of the city users in specific resources, depending on the tasks that they have to perform. In this way, based on the basic 3D model, we have built a digital 3D model with the roof detailization. This resource is needed to handle such tasks which require detailed 3D visualization and measurement of altitudes and heights of different elements of buildings. For instance, such a resource is needed for the Department of Cultural Heritage of Moscow, where the issues on construction permitting and reconstruction of buildings in the city center are of great importance. As of 2012, based on this basic model, we started to build a 3D digital model of facades of typical buildings, as well as some of the highlights and landmarks of the city. In Geotrest, we also develop the technology of building the 3D model of the underground space. In conclusion, I can tell you that the results of the processed materials of aerial and space imagery in traditional and 3D visualization inspire great interest among the executive authorities of Moscow, other city authorities and organizations. Many city organizations have already integrated these materials into their daily processes, and the high level of interest is getting even higher because of the new territories which had been annexed to Moscow. Besides, the government of Moscow and city users pose high-level requirements to representation of all information resources which are developed based on the aerial and space imagery. As a result, now we are facing a challenge to optimize our work, both on acquisition of primary materials of aerial and space imagery and their processing. We can successfully address this challenge by optimal combination of the capabilities of our technical means of imagery acquisition with the possibilities and capacities of software processing. This is all I had to tell you today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Would there be questions? I will ask the first question, if you don't mind. You mentioned that textures of buildings, you took the textures from the pictures taken from ground. We see shadows from trees and shadows from the power wires. How do you clean them up? Now we use Photoshop as the main software which helps us to delete such artifacts. I know that you and us received the same commercial software for testing. You didn't use it, right? That unnamed program. No, we didn't like it. Neither did us. Okay, I have a question here. Tell me, please. Do you use, or what you have just told us about? Is it compatible with the cadastral system, with the heritage maps and so on and so forth? Here we're dealing with different departments, but all these different types of cadastre, are they combined in the single geo-information space of Moscow? Maybe I didn't phrase it correctly. For instance, now you showed certain products. For instance, land cadastre, is it integrated into them or not? I mean the cadastre boundaries of zones and districts. Okay, then the second question. If you have good materials of aerial and space imagery or aerial imagery, I'm talking about photography and laser scanning, why do you need space imagery at all? Space photo plans can be used for texturizing of digital elevation model. And wouldn't photo imagery be enough for that? Well, there is a possibility of acquiring both aerial and satellite imagery. If you have aerial images, why do you need space imagery at all? Well, it has a different resolution. Okay, thank you.
Если вопросов больше нет, еще...
If there are no more questions, thank you very much.